Well, have we all sobered up then? A wee Sunday night mad one for the Celtic fans. I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you at all. Well deserved after a very good day at Hampden Park. Celtic have booked their place in the League Cup final, and Martin O'Neill continues to make history as Celtic manager. Yes, even in the year of our Lord 2025, the positivity's back at Celtic, and I like it. I like it a lot. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It's nice to be back in the studio today to talk about yesterday and to talk about some other things. I'll also be live tonight on the channel at 7 o'clock so I can get your opinions about the current climate we find ourselves in as Celtic supporters. I'm sure we all have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things to say, so join me live on the channel tonight, 7 PM. Be there or be square. Anyway, we have a lot to cover, especially, of course, that beautiful day at Sunday yesterday. Did I just say beautiful day at Sunday? I might say beautiful Sunday at Hampden. So Celtic have booked themselves a place in that League Cup final, and if you look at the fixture schedule on screen, that is due to take place on Sunday the 14th of December. It's penciled in for a 3:30 kickoff as things stand. And it comes after a run of difficult games. When we return from this last international break of the calendar year, we do have quite a tough run. We've got to play Hearts again. We've got to play Roma at Celtic Park, a couple of other teams. That's going to be a tough run up into that League Cup final, but it is a chance, of course, for Celtic to win the first piece of silverware available this season, and a chance to keep doing what we do best, and that is winning trophies. Celtic, of course, missed out on the treble last year, but if we can start off with 1 out of 3, who knows, maybe we'll get it back this season. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Ultimately, there's a real positive buzz around Celtic right now, and I think that is generally going to be the talking point on every Celtic podcast or fan channel this afternoon, just about how that positivity has returned to Celtic Park. The positivity has returned to the players on the pitch, and in hindsight, it was probably the decision that had to be made for Celtic and the greater good of Celtic. Listen, I'm not going to get dragged into the if, buts and maybes about what would have happened if Rodgers was still in charge yesterday, and I think it's best that we just move on now anyway. There's no point in dwelling in the past, but I know that I was of the opinion that yesterday's derby could have been the make or break day for Rodgers. However, in seeing the change in fortunes that we're getting under Martin O'Neill right now, it was probably right that we got this change. I don't think we would have approached the game with the same positivity as we did yesterday. I don't think that we would have been as relentless in our pursuit of victory as we were yesterday. Martin O'Neill has brought a buzz back around the place that's been gone for the last few weeks, dare I say months, at the club, and everybody just seems to be pulling in the right direction now, and I think that was one of the very first lines in Martin O'Neill's first press conference when he returned to Celtic this week, or last week I should say. And there was a quote, he said, he needs to make sure people are pulling in the same direction. And it was just something that was missing. I don't know if there was just a general feeling around the camp that we had done all we could with Brendan, and that the players were maybe just getting drawn into a stale nature of football that was causing a rift between the coaching and the playing. But we need to be going in the same direction, and Martin O'Neill has all the fans on board with him, to the point where we're talking about whether or not Martin O'Neill should be in the dugout for the cup final, and we're going to talk about that. But it's just a huge burst of positivity that we needed, and I think that it's important for us to be able to say that whilst acknowledging the good times we've had over the last few years and the success that's been delivered. You know, we've won back-to-back doubles, and this year it was probably time for change. But I can acknowledge that positivity while acknowledging the success of the past, and we can just feel good about it. Martin O'Neill on the touchline in Hampden, beating Rangers in his trackie. It's just a great, great feeling. An absolute brilliant, top of the world like feeling. And the atmosphere at Hampden yesterday was just sublime. So much to take away from it. We're going to talk about Martin O'Neill's comments. We're going to talk about the fan perspective leaving the game, because a lot of people think that Martin O'Neill still has a job to do here and shouldn't be ushered out of Celtic Park anytime soon. So I've tried to have a conversation with myself over this. Not in a schizo way. Just a conversation with myself as to whether or not Martin O'Neill should be in charge for the League Cup final. And I think that is the one big question hanging over the heads of Celtic fans this morning as we wake up in celebration after yesterday's win. And you do find yourself caught between two places. If you look at it in the same rationale as I do, you find yourself kind of looking at the long-term future of the club and questioning whether or not sentimentality should be considered. But you also find yourself looking at the success we've found in the first couple of games, the man that Martin O'Neill is, and the absolute joyous feeling it would be if he delivers another trophy for the club. And I don't know where I sit between both of those places. It's really, really difficult, and I think that we all are going to get dragged into this narrative of letting him manage the team over the League Cup final, whether that is right or wrong. But I'm telling you right now, don't let anybody tell you it's right or wrong. I'm not going to tell you it's right or wrong. Do I think that Celtic need to prioritise the long-term future of this club and act accordingly? Absolutely. But if that means giving Martin O'Neill a chance to win this trophy gets tied in alongside it, I'm not going to fault anybody for thinking that. You know, I don't think that anybody should be criticised for believing he deserves that opportunity, because you see just the joy that he brings back. And I'm really weary and cautious about it. I don't want us to get dragged into a situation where we make decisions that will come back to bite us, and I don't want us to get dragged into that same situation that we did when we gave Neil Lennon the job full time in the Showers at Hampden a few years ago. But there is a big difference right now, I think. And I'm not saying that Martin O'Neill should be suddenly dished out a 3-year contract. I mean, the guy's 73, and I'm pretty sure he has better things to be doing with his time as he enters his twilight years. But, I don't know. I just think that him being in charge for another month doesn't sound all that bad. And he spoke about that himself. Martin O'Neill said this after yesterday's game. He has no indication at the minute as to whether or not he'll be in charge for the League Cup final. Genuinely no indication whatsoever. None at all. And I would have thought that with Michelin now, Thursday night, and then Kilmarnock on Sunday, I would have thought there's probably time for them with an international break for the board to think about something. So he's certainly not ruling out the fact there's still plenty of time for Celtic to make a decision either way. We are a long way away when you think about it from the League Cup final. There's still over 40 days until then. So I think it's a conversation that it's probably, if I'm just going to down the mood for a minute here, not that I want to do that, I think it's a conversation it's probably not worth having right now. I think there's plenty of football to be played between now and the League Cup final, which could change the mood of every Celtic fan, depending how it goes. And I think there's also plenty of time for Celtic to come to a conclusion on what they're doing that might make it a bit worthless anyway. Just a lot of time. An international break in particular, which I assume conversations and interviews will take place. So I don't think, what I'm basically saying is, if you really want Martin O'Neill to be in charge for that League Cup final, don't get your heart set on it, because there is time for heartbreak to occur. That's all I'm saying, but you never know. You honestly, you never know. And I think to kind of finalise my thoughts on it all, I just think that I'm happy either way. Like, if I don't care who's in the dugout for that League Cup final. If it's Martin O'Neill, I'll be delighted he's getting that opportunity. But if it's our new manager that's being trusted and ushering us into a new era, I'll also get behind that guy, and I'll also be happy that we've made a decision to look after the longevity of the club. So I think it's a win-win situation Celtic find themselves in, and I know there's a lot of reading to do into these things, and I'm certainly not going to let Dermot Desmond away with anything here, because he is somebody who is seriously being watched and seriously under pressure to get decisions right at the minute. But in terms of just that isolated cup final, I'm not going to be angry either way about who's in the dugout come December 14th. O'Neill went on to add that he would secretly love to be in charge for the final, which I'm sure most people are delighted to hear, and that he is open to conversations with Dermot Desmond. He says that's the very obvious answer, but he genuinely doesn't know what to expect. So, yeah, a big few weeks coming up. As I said, I don't think it's too worthwhile getting dragged into it all right now. It's nice to dream though, isn't it? It's nice to dream, and as I said, I think we're in a very positive position. I think if Celtic can't get their man, if Dermot Desmond and the people making the decisions can't get the guy who they really, really think should be leading us into the next generation, then, you know, Martin O'Neill to the end of the season isn't the worst idea. I'd certainly rather that than a Craig Bellamy or a Robbie Keane. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm just on euphoria right now. I'll probably change my mind about all of this when the dust settles and we suffer our next loss. But ho hum, we're living in the moment. One guy who has been thriving under Martin O'Neill so far, and particularly yesterday was thriving under Martin O'Neill, is of course Callum Osmand, who is subject to many a conversation right now. A huge amount of praise, so he should be, because he came on yesterday against Rangers and really impressed. Could have had more than what he did, but to get your first goal for Celtic in a semi-final at Hampden against Rangers, it doesn't come much better than that. And so many people are having that conversation of why was he not getting a look in before Martin O'Neill was here. I really like the look of Callum Osmand, and if you take your mind back to the summer when we signed him, I was full of excitement for his initial signing, because even though there was very little out there about him and a very little first team experience to go off, I just had a feeling that he would be somebody that comes good, that we'd scouted for a reason and that we brought to the club for a reason. And hopefully yesterday is the first signs of why we should feel that way about Callum Osmand. Now, the thing is, he actually done the same against Falkirk as well. He came on the park, looked very, very sharp, looked bright, and got involved basically straight away. So, this is a young lad who could have a bright future at Celtic and could offer a real headache when it comes to forward, picking in that forward line. So, yeah, he spoke about his relationship with Martin O'Neill since coming to the club, and what it's done for him in terms of bringing this show of confidence out of him and getting, obviously, the chances that he's been given. He said from day one, Martin O'Neill spoke to me and he said he thinks really highly of me. The staff think really highly of me, and that gives you the boost that you need. Under both managers, they were both pushing me, but Martin has just given me, he's given me the confidence you need, and that's the trust, really. That's all you need from a manager. It just takes one person to believe in you and push on. Hopefully this is just the start, and I have to keep building and pushing on. So Callum Osmand has been given a hell of a lot of responsibility, it seems, under Martin O'Neill, and a lot of confidence, so hopefully that keeps going. Hopefully it's something he feeds off. It's true in football. Sometimes all it takes is for one managerial change or for one person to come in and say, you're getting a chance here, and next thing you know, you've got the next star. So I hope it goes great for Callum Osmand. I'm full of high hope, high expectations for him. I'm not going to pile it on him too early, but I don't know. I have a good feeling. So just to finish up, let's continue talking about yesterday's game, and let's talk about the meltdown that's followed afterwards. Now, it's all very well and good having a laugh and joke about this, but Rangers apparently going to the SFA to demand answers over the Austin Trusty situation that endangered the safety of Jack Butland. Now, we all know what we're talking about. It was towards the end of the first half. Austin Trusty was let away with a situation in the game where he did make contact with Jack Butland's head. VAR checked it, only a yellow was given, and Rangers feel like it should have been a red card, especially after the Theo Asgard situation, which saw him get sent off for kicking Anthony Ralston earlier in the game. So apparently the decision has infuriated Ibrox Chiefs, and the club will now take the matter up with the head of refereeing, Willie Collum, and the incident endangered Butland's safety and therefore should have resulted in a red card. And of course it has absolutely blown up on social media. It's now the reason that Rangers apparently lost the game and whatever else. It's tiresome. It really, really is. It's tiresome. Now, I know there'll be Rangers fans watching here, but I'm not going to mince my words. I just do find it very fucking tiresome, and I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time talking about it here, because do you know what? At the end of the day, the game's done. The game would be done if Rangers won. The game would be done if Celtic won, which they did. Not much can change now. It's not as if we're going to replay the game, and I'm not going to waste my time and energy talking about a situation that can't change. And I've learned that about most refereeing decisions. I think we all should. Once it's happened, it's happened. And no team in Glasgow gets preferential treatment or special treatment from referees, no matter how many conspiracy theories you read about on your forums, on either side of the divide. It doesn't happen. And this is what I mean. I'm not calling this particular situation one that's tiresome to talk about. I just mean the narrative that always follows on either side. It's all well and good having a moan at the minute that it happens, and moaning maybe just after the game, but this is going to get dragged on for weeks, and I can't be fucking arsed. Like, I just can't, because I have seen some terrible decisions in derby games on both sides. I have seen Celtic robbed of huge decisions in derby games that were very impactful of full-time results. I remember Griffiths getting dragged down in the box nearly 10 years ago, no penalty given. I remember Connor Goldson attempting to play volleyball in the penalty area. No penalty was given. And do you know what? See, a day or two after the game, I got over it. No, do you know what? I'm not even going to lie. It wasn't a day or two. I mean, hours. An hour or two after the game. I got over it. And I realised, do you know what? Referees up here, they're just pish. They're terrible at their job. And the quicker you wrap your head around that and you realise there isn't some fucking Vatican-assisted referee, then your life's going to be a lot easier. It is. And they keep pointing out, it's happened in every big derby and Julian's offside goal and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, do you not think we can list these things out as well? It's just football. It's football. It happens everywhere. Everywhere. And I can't be bothered. The whole narrative is just so fucking tiresome. And they're running away greeting to the SFA. Do you know what? Fair enough. Cool. Do it. But we don't need to drag it on for weeks on end, and we're going to have to listen to it heading into the next derby, and I just can't be bothered. I can't be bothered at all. Trusty was lucky yesterday. He was really, really lucky. I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. And my opinion is he's been let off because it was very easily a decision that could have went the other way. It could have been a red card. But it wasn't. They gave reasons why they didn't make it a red card, and that's that. It's done. It's over. We won. We won, and that's it. That's all I have to say. Right, that does it for today. Sorry if it all feels a bit rushed. I've got a very busy afternoon, hence the reason why I will be live tonight at 7 PM, so we can talk about things in a bit more depth. The managerial situation, amongst other things. So, join me there. Thank you. Good seeing you. See you tonight.